In a world with entirely too many shows about cars, this is another pointless automotive podcast.
Howdy, everyone, and welcome back to another Pointless Automotive Podcast. Chadwick and Frank with you. Frank, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. I'm great. I am alive and well.
Good.
Yeah, about ready to brave a new year.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. That's
We're
the thing.
effectively in. No, we're not yet. We're almost there.
We're in the
on
future.
cusp of a new year.
The dear listener will be listening on the
Right
New
there.
Year's Day. Yeah.
Near the climax, if you will.
Boy, I really hope the climax of my year isn't the first day of the year. That would be sad. I suppose depending on the climax, right? If I don't know.
The brightest lights burn out the fastest, Frank. Just remember that.
Well, I'm a little too old for the 27 Club, so I don't know. I just, yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll die in a freak gasoline fight accident on New Year's Day. I don't know.
Oh, God. Oh, one can only dream the sweet release of death.
Yeah.
It comes for us all eventually. Hopefully sooner than later. But
We'll see.
today, guys, I wanted to gather us all around the collective
Ooh.
APA podcast fan base. We're very tight knit, very, very low numbers too. But I want to get everybody together to talk about something that for a while was being pushed, and it kind of reminds me, this whole EV thing is kind of reminding me about what this alternative fuel did for a while.
Oh,
and
he's drawing parallels, people.
I'm talking about diesels, boys and girls. We're talking about, remember the push for diesel? Europe led the charge. In the US, we were like, holy shit, we can use diesel. We get more torque. We get better fuel economy. Diesel at the time when this was all happening, I'd like to say the early 2000s is when this started to really ramp up.
Mm-hmm.
Diesel was cheaper than regular fuel, regular octane gas. And for that, damn, that's a good deal with the extra fuel economy that comes with these vehicles. So it was really proposed as an environmental success, a performance success, and a cost effectiveness success for car folks. Obviously, we got to talk about Volkswagen, right? Like Volkswagen was a huge proponent of bringing diesel to the common car owner. In case you're watching on YouTube, the vehicle behind me is a 2010 TDI Cup Edition, very rare diesel, and there's a sign in front of it that says TDI settlement parking only. That's when I traded this car in. So I have a couple good Dieselgate stories to share. But Frank, in general, I wanted to call this one rolling coal and running away. Because two popular diesel phrases. I'm going to crack a Miller Lite. It seems very appropriate.
Yeah.
At this time, it'd probably be like a full-on Miller is more appropriate.
Oh, Miller Heavy. Yeah, it's got a little bit more like particulates in it than the Miller Lite. You know, Miller Lite's like the gasoline of the garage beers versus the Miller Heavy is more diesel.
More diesel.
Your bunker oil, if you will. Yeah.
A little more substance to it. But honestly, Dieselgate, I'll speak from that. My experience is I lived in California at the time. Still do, but it was when I pretty much came over here, and California was
because of diesel.
Yeah, because of diesels, basically. California was the first state while Dieselgate was just cracking, right? When they just found out this, they were going to announce a buyback. It was planned, but it wasn't totally filled out in full detail, except for California, by law, had to release how much you could get paid for a vehicle that fell into a certain group of like measurements. Mileage, year, condition, that kind of stuff. So they released what they have to pay you for the car. Smart me, the very next day went out and bought 2 diesel TDI cars because I knew what my ROI was. I knew exactly what I was going to get back. As long as I bested that, I was going to make money, right? So
what was the first one?
The first one was the TDI Cup Edition. So a 2010 TDI Cup Edition. At the time, I was just looking for a cheap TDI Jetta, and it's a Jetta. So I actually found one, and I'm like, these things are stupid rare. I want to say like sub 2000 ever made rare.
Yeah.
So tracked one down. I don't even remember the price exact. I'm sure it's like 10 to 11,000. And I was like, yeah, sure. I definitely been looking for these. And the guy selling it was probably like, this fucking guy doesn't know. Yeah. Does he watch the goddamn news? And the whole time I was like, yeah, I'm just looking for something with good fuel economy.
That's fantastic.
So I scooped it up. I knew I was going to stand to make $6,000, but more on that later. The next car, I went an A3 Audi TDI,
Oh,
a white one, which was really cool. That was like a 20, what was that one, 2013? So a little
that's right.
newer. I paid like 13, 12 or 13 grand for it. Great, like super well. Beverly Hills Audi, just like
Hmm.
serviced there its whole life. Very nice car. And then I proceeded to beat the pants out of both these cars, did
Why
zero
not?
maintenance. I think the glow plugs were failing on the Cup edition at the end, or the Audi, because it was barely
Right.
running. All the check
Hmm.
engine lights were on. In 8 months, I drove both these cars while diesel at the
Did you have
time.
to keep them? Did they have to be registered in your name for a certain amount of time?
Nope. Just I don't think there was
Just like
any
had to have a title
stipulation.
in your name?
I think it started out they tried to roll something out like that, but then they were like, no, we got to take all these off the road, right? Was the
Yeah.
whole thing because the environmental impact in California, especially. So they really cracked down on that. Like, no, you got to buy them back, and you just have to prove that you own the vehicle, like through title, of course, right?
Sure. Sure.
You couldn't go get some like crashed one on the side of the road. Although
Hit
I've
up
heard
Turo.
stories.
Just like, yeah, that'd be fantastic. Yeah.
Like a gutted one, just bring it in. Oh yeah, man, so put a TDI badge on it.
It's an actual TDI Cup car, like an actual like racing in the TDI Cup. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. But dude, you filled out all these legal forms and you went back to like a Volkswagen dealership and did this paperwork. And at the Volkswagen dealership, it was pretty quick. I just did
Hmm.
like the turnover. They're like, okay, here's your check amount. And I already researched. I made just over 6 grand profit on each one. So
Not
I
bad.
got paid 12,000 and change to drive really nice cars at the time
Hmm.
because they were pretty new at the time.
Yeah.
TDIs saved a
Except you were
lot on
poisoning
fuel.
our environment with its
Oh,
disastrous emissions.
I was sticking it to Mother Earth like you wouldn't believe, buddy.
Hmm.
But the big thing was I saved a ton of money on fuel because diesel at the time was cheaper than regular octane.
Sure.
So I wasn't putting wear and tear on my regular cars. These were just getting beat on, and like I said, no maintenance. Didn't give a shit. And the Audi barely made it. So when I came to turn in the Audi, barely limped it into the Audi dealership.
Hmm.
And the lawyers were so they're like, tell us
There's like,
exactly
God
what
damn
time
it.
you're arriving. They were in the parking lot with like the head, like probably the GM for the dealership. And then we
Hmm.
went to a boardroom. They got us like coffee and food and donuts and everything. And they had to sign all these legal things because a lot of people were upside down in payments, right, on these cars.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of weird shit going on. And a lot of people didn't want to
You
surrender
don't
their cars.
say.
It
As
was
you
so
come in
weird.
with your like seventh TDI settlement car, there's some weird shit going on as you
But
roll in. Just
they were
like,
so nice, dude. They were so fucking nice
sure.
about it. And then again, yeah, same amount as the other one, over 6,000, like $6,500. Straight up, and that's profit. That's not how much they paid me. And then I, got paid, had to pay off the rest of the car. I straight up got it paid the rest off
Hmm.
with 6,500 on top. So like the full profit was like 13K, which was fucking awesome. But I wasn't the only one. Somebody like filled a parking lot at a stadium with like 200 TDIs when they announced this. So I did not have that kind of liquidity, like that much cash sitting around. Plus,
Right.
it wasn't nothing's guaranteed, right?
Yeah.
Like,
You just all of a sudden you're on like sitting on like 15 cars that are like illegal
yeah, and it was still a gamble to go
contraband.
out and buy two of them. It was like 25K. That's not a
Sure.
small amount of money to get rid of, but I was just in a position to do so. And fuck, dude, well, that's my TDI Dieselgate story. And do I feel like a dick? No, fucking Volkswagen dicked over a bunch of people, including Mother Earth, who I put in the butt earlier. But fuck yeah, dude,
Consensual.
that is my
Yeah.
TDI story. And I wish I was in a position then that I could have bought like 10 of them. I probably would have.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like there's that, but I'm kind of conflicted on the TDI thing because like not the TDI thing, but like the Dieselgate thing. Because in some respects, it like kind of like that's why you don't you can't just go out and buy a new diesel passenger car. You can get a couple of full size, 3/4 ton, 1 ton trucks. It's kind of it, right? Like there's
Yeah.
not, and I think that, but that the other part, and so like for that, it's kind of just like in some ways, Volkswagen got a slap on the wrist. Now, well, over $1 billion in fines is not a slap in the wrist,
It's a fucking
but like
people's elbow to the face, dude.
but also like their punishment was like, oh, now you get to go like you have to go do clean infrastructure, so go build Electrify America, which is now
Sure.
like generating
A thing.
income.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, oh, the penalty is like we monetized it tight. And part of it should have been like, oh, okay, well, guess what? Like Volkswagen Audi Group, you are no longer allowed to sell vehicles in North America. Like that kind of could have been it, and it
Huge.
wasn't.
Yeah.
But then I also kind of like feel that it kind of would not have been fair because guess what? Everyone else was cheating too. We just like don't know the extent of it and like how far down the rabbit hole it went with like CEOs giving commands for people to, execute on goals, emission and performance goals that were unattainable, because that's how Volkswagen got into the soup that they were in.
You had to have questioned it though. Like these TDI vehicles were getting nearly 40 mpgs mixed driving. They were putting out good amounts of horsepower and torque.
Great power.
And it just felt like, God, there's no give. Like it's all pros. It's all positive attributes. And then
how are they doing it? Yeah. They were. I mean, in some ways, it's kind of ingenious how they got around the emissions testing and like if the front wheels were only moving and the rear ones weren't, then the ECU knew that it was being tested, and so it knew it wasn't actually being driven, and so really, it's a cool story for like crime effectively, but those I like that era. It's funny, we've had like a couple of different diesel eras, right? Where we had like late 70s, early 80s during the original gasoline, fuel crisis. And those all were largely kind of terrible.
Sure.
You get like your diesel Rabbit with like 54 horsepower, or you had the runaway diesel stuff, which was kind of bullshit, but kind of not. And then you had all the GM diesel shit. But like the cheater diesel era, there was like diesel was cool. Like I remember like that same era, right? When you're talking about like the E90X generation 3 Series. What's the sedan? I think that's the one for whatever reason. I can never pin it down. Is this the sedan the E90? And then E92 is the convertible. I don't know.
E90.
I'm bad with that generation.
No, E90. Damn it, I knew it. E90 would be the sedan. You're right. E92 is the coupe.
And then E93 is the convertible, and E91 is the wagon.
Correct.
Son of a bitch. But like an E90, you don't see them on the road because they're disastrously unreliable, as it turns out. But like the 335D sedan, that came out, that was sick. I was like, that is sick. Like that would be the one I would like. Let me get the diesel sedan.
400 pound-feet of torque, I think. Out of that motor. Yeah.
Wow. And then you had the Touareg V10 TDI, which was a void, but it's still incredibly cool. Like
cool.
What madness that thing is. And you get like that early diesel, not super early, but like the diesel Cayennes, and like there was some cool, like, unlike the early 80s, diesels were good and they were cool and they made great power and they were reliable, largely, BMW aside. To
be fair,
Tech,
we missed out on some incredible diesels. Like I'd kill for a Land Cruiser diesel or a Land Rover diesel, right? The rest of the world enjoyed those. I think a diesel for off-road purposes is absolutely perfect. That low-end torque, the fuel economy, the towing capacity if you need the tow stuff. We really missed out on a shit ton, dude. I would kill for a diesel Land Cruiser. Older,
that'd be cool.
Whether it be an 80 series or 100 series, I'd love that power plant. I mean, you can't go wrong with the V8 and the V6 respectively, but we never got the diesel stuff, right? A lot of the diesel stuff passed on us. Probably emissions, to be honest, and then just general lack of interest in diesel vehicles.
That I think it kind of got scarlet lettered, right? Just like it did the first diesel go round, right, in the early 80s. They got a reputation for, these Audis, they're runaway diesels, and it's going to kill you, and
clattery shit boxes, right?
Yeah, and like they're unreliable because the GM stuff was, right? You're like Olds and Buicks and stuff, which were
still is that 3-liter, like, what is it, the Duramax diesel that they
the current, yeah, but like so then they had a bad reputation and they fell out of favor, and then they came roaring back, and then Dieselgate showed up and cars were getting bought back, and it turns out in order to make them like not kill all these asthmatic children, it turns out you have to like they're not nearly as performative.
Yeah.
And so then those fall by the wayside. It makes me wonder, like, do you think diesel's kind of dead forever outside of like sprinter vans and full size stuff, or do you think it's gonna make? Do you think it'll make another?
Like Cummins, like here's the point, right? Like you can go buy a Cummins pickup truck from like the mid 90s with like 300,000 miles and they still want 20K for it. Yeah. Is because that, I mean, first off, killer fucking truck, dude. And they had a little cheating thing too, right? But if you're going to get a cheap, reliable tow rig, I mean, I did not say Touareg. I said tow rig or tow ring. I didn't say tow ring. If you're going to get a towing rig, like a good truck, Cummins is kind of the place you want to be.
Right.
If you want something that's dead nuts reliable and will put big mileage up.
But I mean, just for like people mover duty. You think we're going to see diesel sedans or crossovers or anything like that? So. Or you think they're gone forever?
I don't think so. I think the trucks are going to stay popular because they fucking work. They work for what they're created for. And it's like a thing, right? Like having a Cummins is kind of a kind of thing.
It's like super macho. Yeah, I've got the fucking diesel.
I don't hate it.
So powerful.
Like, if I was powerful, like, bro. If I was,
but if you're just doing it to like crawl to the mall, which a lot of guys do, right? Like,
sure, but if I was not guy that drives like questionable car like 2 hours after I buy it, I would be the guy with a Cummins and a car trailer. Like if I had that money,
sure,
I would love to be that guy. Instead, I'm Mr. This car hasn't been registered for 20 years. Sure, let's go for a road trip.
Yeah. I'll just drive like 10 miles over the speed, 10 miles an hour over the speed limit instead of 40 over the speed limit because the tires are 31 years old. Like I'm going to be safe.
That's me.
I only go 76. But I don't know. I think, hear me out.
Let's hear it.
I wonder if there is a world. So here's the thing with diesels is diesels
in a world.
Diesels they're at their best when they are not accelerating or decelerating when they're just running at a constant speed, constant temp, constant speed, 1800 RPM down the freeway, chugga. You're getting good gas mileage out of your
pretty good. Yeah.
I wonder if under those exact parameters, if in a world where you have a hybrid with a range extender, if you can have a small diesel range extender that is more efficient, uses less fuel, it's preheated by the electric engine in the car, an electric motor in the car.
Okay.
So you don't have to do cold start or anything necessarily. I mean, to a certain degree, you're not getting it to pure operating temp, but it'll be good and warm.
Sure.
Like I wonder if there's I wonder if that's a potential implementation of a small, what's effectively a diesel generator. Where the emissions are more easily controlled because it's just running at one fixed RPM effectively the whole time. I don't know. Possible. I wonder if there's a world where diesels come back beyond the scope of your truck 9,000 diesel tow rig, 72 liter Cummins mega stroke.
That's it, right? Like I think that, and that technology is old, right? But it works. That's the problem, right? And like we have a problem with old technology that works for some reason, but those old diesel Cummins engines, when maintained, will go for damn near 1 million miles. You probably will never get that on any hybrid powertrain,
right?
For sure. But I think that's it, right? Like it's like longevity. It's like big rigs use diesel motors still. For that very same reason. Like the reliability is insane and just regular maintenance, man. Like glow plugs and your fluids and all that kind of shit. Those motors are made to just hum along, like you said, on the highway.
That's right.
Pull a metric shit ton of stuff behind them. I don't think that'll ever fade out of style. But yeah, I think the age of passenger diesels is gone, dude. I don't think we're gonna see it come back, man. I think Dieselgate was the final knife.
It might have been, but I'd like to think there's a world where it finds a way. Life finds a way. And it comes back and in some form or fashion, right? Like I don't know that a pure diesel, family sedan or city car or anything like that, because a lot of that was led by Europe, and Europe is doing everything they can to ban loud clackety out of city centers, and the city cars are either going to EV or they're going to like just no cars in general in city centers. Like you park outside and you use public transportation to come in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, maybe that flies in the face of diesel. But I would like to think that maybe there is a, and maybe that is like a longer haul thing, right? Where you've got like an EV truck or something like that has a diesel range extender type of thing. I don't know.
Is there any vehicle, and I've got one specific one picked out, that I would straight murder for, that a diesel passenger vehicle made in the last 10 years that you would like to own? I know you mentioned the 3 Series diesel, and I think I kind of want to own one of those someday. I think they're pretty cool.
My understanding is they're almost all gone because they're all profoundly unreliable. Like they're all like they just don't work, and the parts don't exist to fix them.
They had 2 though.
They're cool.
They had the 335D, and then they had the 328.
The 328D, which I think those are still largely around, and you can get a wagon for them, which would be cool.
Right, and that's what I'm thinking. I mean, that's it. But there's one. I'm going to tell you. This is the one I'd straight murder for, Frank.
Ooh.
The Chevy Cruze diesel hatchback manual. It's like the unicorn. I think there's a few hundred of them.
Mm-hmm.
I would fucking murder to have one of those, because you lose the Cruze's biggest Achilles.
Is everything?
No, is
or
everything,
the gas motor falling apart?
The gearbox.
That too.
Right.
Yeah.
The automatic gearbox is absolutely atrocious. I think that's
not good.
The leading cause for that car being bricked. But you throw in, you're at a diesel engine, so there goes the traditional gasoline powered engine. You throw in that manual gearbox, there goes the shitty whatever, and it wasn't even the DCT, it was just a shitty automatic. And then you have a hatch, which the Cruze hatchback looks neat. That's an interesting vehicle to talk about and to drive around. I think that actually is the coolest and only cool Cruze. I mean, a diesel hatchback manual Cruze. I'm gonna say it. That's a fucking cool car, bro. I would straight murder to get one of those. I bet everyone holding on to one is going to charge like $30,000 when you can get the gasoline version for like
$0. Yeah, it's actually it's like one of the worst. It's a shame, because I remember when that came out, I was like, oh wow, like that's so much better than the Cobalt. Like the Cruze, it looks so much better. Like the materials are better. They finally have done it. Chevy has finally found a way to introduce a competitive compact sedan for the masses, and it immediately was pure garbage,
just like the Dart, just like the Dodge Dart, same time period too, really.
Yeah, the Dart, God, we're going on a tangent here, but I'm okay with it. I thought the Dart seemed like a more compelling product.
Travis Pastrana doing commercials and that thing,
right?
We can go buy really mint darts right now for like $3,000 to $4,000. There's a reason.
Yeah. Like $4,500 gets you the nicest Dart, Tiger Shark, multi-air, whatever they call those motors.
Easy, easy, big boy, big block.
Yeah. calm down, little Dart.
No, but dude, to take it back though, we'll put us back on rails. That Chevy Cruze diesel hatchback manual. I mean, how dope would that car be, dude? And talk about daily perfection. You have modern tech. You have nuts good fuel economy, and you're in a hatchback for functionality too, and you're rolling your own gears. I mean,
rowing your own gears, and you're
kind of perfect
in your hatch.
Perfect car.
Perfect car.
Go find one.
I don't know. I should go find one. I still do like that for whatever reason. Yeah, that E90 diesel
wagon. Yeah,
in like even the sedans I like.
Yeah,
red. They had like the smaller tipped exhaust, like dual exhaust.
That's right.
I think they're all open diff, but I think I'm sure you can put an LSD in it. But yeah, the problem with those is I think when's the last time you've seen one? And it's not that old of a car.
No,
but like I see more 90s anything from Japan more than I see those cars. And so
to be fair, when's the last time you saw a clean like E90, like a 335i? Like a clean one.
I think I see them.
It's been a bit.
Or I'll see them, but they're a little tattered. I don't see the diesels in any condition. Like
no, you don't. And when the diesels online can be found, and they're pretty cheap. They're like $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 for like an immaculate one.
Yeah, smog is on you though.
Do you have to smog it? It's a diesel. I mean,
yeah, you do. Yeah, anything 97 and newer on
that's
diesels
right.
you have to in California. Yeah.
Ouch.
You know what I think I would do?
Hmm.
I think I would do as early as I can, which I think was 09 or 10. I think the first year that we got the Cayenne diesel.
Yeah.
I think I would do a Cayenne diesel, some chunky tires, not like full overland build, but I don't know, put a roof box on it just to be cute. And then, yeah, maybe throw that Christmas tree I mentioned last week.
I want to say those Cayenne diesels were pulled into Dieselgate too for some reason.
I think,
or it was something. One of the
I know the A7, not the A7, the Q7 diesels were.
Yeah, there was,
and I think largely it's the same powertrain. So I don't know if somehow there was something, or it might have been just like you go in and you get a reflash.
Because that was the 6-cylinder, and then the majority of them were the 1.9s, right? The 1.9 diesels were the most common. Like that was both my TDIs.
And exactly, yeah, the diesels. I don't know if they were. Yeah, I don't know if those were tied in.
Cayenne diesel is cool.
I think I would go Cayenne diesel. Yeah.
So I'd can't get a Manuel. Diesel. I'd get a Manuel with that, like the GTS had. That rare GTS that had the prices on those are just out of control. But yeah.
Cayenne and then diesel. Like realistically, but then they made the diesel. They made a gutsier, like a diesel S, I think, later. That I think was it was like a V8 diesel or something like that. That would be rad. So I think I'm going Cayenne diesel, or even still like that generation Jetta, that like whatever it would have been, like 08, 09 Jetta sport wagon manual.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they got reflashed to be able to actually pass emissions, and they lost a bunch of performance, but they're still cool.
Performance and fuel economy, unfortunately.
Yeah,
that's unfortunate.
They got neutered, but they're still cool.
Still cool. Maintenance kind of sucks on it, but it is what it is. You're not gonna fuck around with that Cruise diesel hatchback manual. Tell me you wouldn't.
I don't know. It would be cool. What about older stuff? Any older diesels that are
you know what I do
stuck
like
in your craw?
Remember the old Passats? Those were cool from the 90s. Yeah. The original Passat TDIs. Like, they had the Golf, the Passat, the Jetta. I think those were pretty cool.
Beetle? Get a new Beetle?
I'd mess around. Yeah, new Beetle TDI, right?
Yeah.
I'd fuck around with that stuff a little bit.
That'd be cool. I think I've always wanted, and I've never spent a ton of time around one, but I've always wanted like a late 70s, early 80s Volkswagen Caddy, little pickup truck.
Yep.
Which you can get in a diesel, which were like dangerously slow. But I think that kind of adds to the charm, because the gas ones are like certainly faster, but they're still slow.
Dogs, yeah.
So yeah, get like that sport truck diesel Caddy, like that would be slick. Or a 300 CD. I can do a 300 CD, so 123 coupe.
Old Mercedes, right? The 300Ds and all that kind of stuff is still really cool. Does Mercedes even mess around with diesel at all in the States?
Right now, no. All they do is they've got an entire lineup of EVs that nobody wants to touch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think like the passenger car marketplace is doing anything with diesel right now. I think it's a faux pas. I think after Volkswagen, it's been like rocky, and then we haven't really seen a return to it.
I'm googling this. Mercedes-Benz still make diesel cars, but they're not sold in the United States.
Not in the U.S., yeah. See,
last year, 2017 was the last year that they sold a diesel in the United States.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So it's gone. It's effectively gone, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's diesel's effectively dead. Like, I don't think you can't even get anything in a 1500 full size pickup truck anymore. Like, I don't think. Can you get a Silverado? Like, I know you for a minute you can get the Ram Eco Diesel that came and went. And who knows what Ram is doing now? I don't even. Who the hell knows?
Who knows?
You're getting their like Hurricane motor or whatever. Slurricane
stuff. Yeah, dude. I don't think we're gonna see it come back, man. Which kind of makes me think a certain way that potential enthusiast niches developing around like diesel powered vehicles, like getting these TDIs and like getting into them, or getting the
Right.
older TDIs getting into them. I think I could see that becoming kind of a thing, right? Because they were kind of trendy, the Volkswagen TDIs, like
Yeah.
the Golf TDI. I was like, wow, that's a pretty interesting choice for a vehicle.
Yeah.
And the
Desirable
Jetta,
vehicle.
yeah, the Jetta Sport Wagon, super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see them coming back in that kind of capacity, like the old ones gaining some interest. I should look them up. I think they're still pretty pricey, to tell you the truth.
Interesting.
Because I think a lot of them got like straight up destroyed. I don't think they all got the repair
The
done.
reflash.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know how that went down,
there was
honestly.
probably, what it came down to is probably the cost. Volkswagen probably looked at like, is the value of this 160,000 mile, 2009 Jetta worth,
Right.
reselling? Like, because then who's going to resell it after you buy it back, right? They're
Correct.
auction quality at best at that point. They're not going to recoup that cash.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's interesting, right?
I don't know how that goes down. Like, yeah, or if there was, yeah, I don't know. It might have been like because I'm sure some people like just opted to keep it and
They
not
did.
do.
You could.
Yeah.
You could opt to keep it. And you had to declare. And it sucks because I thought I had the paperwork, but I might have had to trade it in. When they sent you the paperwork, I don't know. I'm a hoarder. I might have it somewhere. So when they sent it to you, you got a certificate, like when you went to like trade it in and everything. And like it was
certificate of us fucking up.
It was a cool thing to live through,
Sign
man.
on the
I'm
line.
glad I got to live through it. I'm not gonna lie. The cars were not great though. I gotta say it. Like the Cup Edition was a lot better. The Audi A3 is not very comfortable. First off, the ergonomics are trash. I wanted it to be good because it's like a fancy Golf, but it wasn't. The Cup Edition was cool because it had like the sportier handling and the interior, and it was I loved dailying that car. And I got like 30. I used to track it on. You ever use like Fuely, that website? I used to put my fuel economy cars. I've done fuel economy cars a few times. I it's kind of a kink I have.
True, it's quite. Yeah, quite alluring. I can tell. You've been fully torqued this whole conversation. I've been able to.
I have very few things that aren't kinks in my life. But I tracked on there and it was like 39 miles per gallon mixed, which was stellar. That's stellar, right? For non-hybrid. Yeah.
Other than the you taking advantage of Dieselgate, have you owned any other diesels or just those two?
That's it. Those two.
Yeah, I've never owned a diesel.
See,
I've driven a handful of things. Like diesel 123s, diesel W210, which are pretty good actually. I would own one of those. Those are cool.
I've driven a couple of those. Very nice. Yeah.
Trucks, but like
definitely driven a few diesels.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think like what would be like the one diesel like that would be cool to drive. It's a shame we never got enough like sport diesel. Like imagine if we got an R8 TDI.
Oh, it's so sick, dude.
That'd be so dope.
Hell yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I look at them every once in a while because I kind of think about it. I'm like, it's still pretty cool. And I think the fact that TDIs are gone to get an older TDI, if we're just talking about the Volkswagen, I think it's still kind of a cool thing to own.
Yeah.
Versus like the regular, gasoline powered Golf equivalent of that time, which isn't as cool, if it's not a GTI. So
get the GTD.
Yeah. Get a diesel wagon, like you said, Jetta Sport Wagon with a manual. Those can be still had. I think they're pricey still though. I want to say the last time I looked, they're like 15K for like one with 150K. And I'm like, no fucking way, bro.
There's gotta be some cheaper ones out there.
You can always find
probably one out there for 8 or 9.
Sure, but it's still a lot of dough for a nearly defunct technology, that's been abandoned by the automakers of the world.
That's why people want them. That's you can say the same thing about the manual transmission, and guess what commands a premium?
Yeah, tell me about it. Looking at these Cruise diesel hatchbacks, I'm gonna keep saying it, dude, until one manifests in my life.
Yeah, interesting. You think is the Cruise diesel? Is that the last American manufactured diesel passenger car?
It's gotta be. Who else is making them, dude? Who else?
It wasn't anything Chrysler, certainly.
Ford didn't have a diesel car.
Yeah, when was the last diesel Ford?
I don't even know.
Yeah, did they?
Maybe a Tempo diesel or something?
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah,
it's gonna be like 80s.
And even then, I can't think of I
They make
can't
a
think of
Crown
a
Vic
diesel.
They make a
Ford.
Crown.
No,
See?
you would have thought, or like a Ford Fairmont or something.
Yeah, yeah. Or Lincoln,
I
some
can't.
kind of older Lincoln for sure. They had a diesel
Well,
before.
you know what? That's that's it. D- are you aware of the Lincoln Mark 7 diesel?
So yes, because I'm obsessed with the Mark 7 LSC. Yeah, very,
Yes.
which
Well, the
is a
Mark
Fox
7,
body Mustang, by the way,
correct.
effectively.
With like, I know the Mark 8s had IRS. I don't remember if the Mark 7s had IRS.
Did
I think they
not.
were solid. Yeah.
Yep, did
But
not.
the diesel in that is a 2.4 liter Mercedes, or not Mercedes, BMW
BMW, and
diesel that came from the 524 TD.
we're talking like 1984, by the way. So
Yes.
it's
I
been
think it
a
was one
while.
year only, maybe.
Yeah, it's been a while. They ever have a Camaro diesel?
No, that would have been rad though.
How cool would that be?
That'd have been sick. Put that, yeah.
Dude,
Diesel
that'd be great.
Camaro, diesel Camaro. You know what? I'm surprised we never got. I'm surprised there was never a diesel Wrangler
Yeah, I'm super shocked about that one too.
like
Um,
that. Yeah, that could have been cool.
hmm. Yeah,
Or
I
a
could see
diesel
that.
AMC Eagle. Like, how sick would
Or
that
an
be?
old Comanche pickup with a diesel, which I'm
Yeah.
surprised they didn't. Isuzu
Well,
fucked around with diesels. I remember some of the Isuzu stuff you could get, the Troopers you could get with a diesel, the
the
pups you could get.
Cherokee, the XJ Cherokee for like 2 years,
That's what I'm
2 or 3
saying.
years,
They could have put
you can
that
get a
in there.
diesel. And I think the Comanche, the first year, you can get a
Might have
diesel.
been a diesel. That's
I
what I'm
think we
thinking.
just, yeah. I think the Comanche 85, I think was the first year. I think you can get a diesel. Um, and then that was it. Because that was
So
that
they're
one launch year that had like 3 different engines and none of them were made by Jeep.
no, which is
They were all
seems about right. But clearly, I'm hearing that there are some pretty cool diesel powered vehicles out there we could potentially. I don't know if I'm going to own a diesel. I don't know. I think about it every once in a while. I'm like, it'd be kind of quirky and different, and you'd stand out. That's why I like the
with the
diesel.
Volvo 240 diesel. Yeah.
Exactly. But the diesel cruise, man, you pull up, you're like, oh, great, a modern cruise. Well, at least it's a hatchback. Oh, a manual and a diesel. Cool all
Well, the
day.
older diesels too, right? Say you get your 85 Jeep Comanche diesel, California, you don't got to smog that.
Don't have to smog shit. I
You
mean,
can just
obviously, you're swapping in an
you put
LS,
whatever. Yeah,
but whatever.
I've got a buddy of mine who owns a barber shop. The barber shop I go to. Shout out to Sheldon and the homies at Sharp Barbershop. 2 locations, one in Pleasant Hill, California, another in Lafayette, California. He's a car guy, and he's got I think it's an 82 Volvo 245, so wagon.
Okay. Yep.
Diesel. And he's got a full LS swap.
Oh, sweet.
With a 6-speed. And it's like he drives it everywhere, and he's had it for years. He's had it for I think almost a decade.
Damn.
And it just goes. It's don't have to smog it because the VIN shows it as a diesel, so you just do whatever you want. And honestly, a modern LS is probably burns cleaner than
certainly
than the factory 80s diesel ever did.
Yeah, those Volvo diesels were super clattery. I remember that back in the day. Like literally sounds like someone banging 2 little pots together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool cars. But yeah, we brought up a good point though. It was really hard to name modern passenger diesel cars. And like we said, even Mercedes abandoned it quite some time ago. I don't see it coming back. Do I see them being cool? I do. I actually see older diesels kind of just being weird and cool. I can see it, man.
I can see it. I don't know. I want it to find a way to come back, even if for like some niche thing, like they make an diesel Ineos Grenadier or something crazy. But the problem is, I think the regulatory stuff will really fly in the face of it, which is kind of a shame.
Yeah, no one's getting away with any kind of sneaky shit.
I want a Diesel Morgan,
But the TDIs were super refined. I'll give them that. Like, if you're used to like Mercedes from the 80s diesels and you jumped in one of those TDIs, you would be like, this can't be a diesel. Because they did run completely smoothly. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think we pour one out for diesels. I'm going to keep looking at them. I think they're cool. I definitely would love to have a diesel pickup for towing. I'm still going to look at like an old Cummins and, truck nuts or whatever, but they're just perfect. They're like the tool for the job, right? Sometimes you just got to nod to that. Like, it's like that phase in your life where you have to have a beige Camry. You just sometimes you got to have the car that's going to do the thing, and that seems like the perfect tow rig. But yeah.
Quick side quest. What is your most beige, quote unquote, beige Camry car you've ever owned? For any like appreciable amount of time and actually used.
I mean, I drove a 90 Chevy Corsica for a long time. It was teal, but it was
okay.
That at the time was a very common car.
Yeah. Not anymore.
I've owned Cavaliers and Escorts. They're kind of in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
Nothing
Tracer LTS.
You fucking bite your tongue. that thing ripped.
No.
How about you, man? What was your most
beige Camry? I mean, maybe the CT200H isn't like super high flying, but it's like if it wasn't for all the paint and body damage, it would almost be sexy.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the brown LS 430.
Oh boy, that's close. Yeah.
Great it's car, it's almost beige and it's almost a Camry, but it's like way better than beige and way better than a Camry. So
probably one of the best cars ever made also, but so is the Camry. So
yeah,
as far as reliability and it is.
One day I'll get my third gen Camry 2-door 6-speed or 5-speed 6-cylinder.
You do that, Frank. You get that car. I'm going to get my TRD Solara manual, and then
we'll go to a track day.
Oh, at first glance, everybody like, what's wrong with these guys? And then they'd be like, holy shit.
Yeah. They just hear like heel towing in a Camry. Sick. Also, little known fact, you can get the first generation Camry in America in a diesel.
That's right. That is right.
It's like 48 horsepower or something just absolutely dreadful. Out of just an NA like 2-liter diesel. I don't know if they might have made a turbo diesel, but either way, it was like pretty non-performant. Just interest. Yeah. But cool and clattery and things that you will never see in your lifetime. Like I go to a Cars and Coffee and I see that. I'm way more interested in that than somebody showing up and like, oh, I've got my like whatever 991 GT2 and paint to sample, goat scrotum pink or whatever. They're like, no, like I'm checking out the Camry diesel.
Yeah, this guy's running on dinosaur blood over here. Get out of the way.
Exactly. Yeah, it's running a straight bunker oil. You can probably burn anything in it.
Yeah, that was a thing back home, man. A lot of like granola hippie people were like going to McDonald's or other restaurants and like taking the old fry oil and running it through their diesel.
Dude,
biodiesel was it? Remember that was a huge thing in the that was like the early 2000s as well.
Running SVO conversion kits, the straight vegetable oil conversion kits, and
yeah, it's pretty cool.
When I was in college at Sonoma State, which is moderately hippy dippy as far as California state schools go, I worked for this organic cooking oil company, and somehow for some trade show down in Los Angeles, we had we rented or like this other company who also we shared a booth with like owned this like late 60s diesel bus, and we ran it all the way there and all the way back on peanut oil. Like we went to Costco and got like a pallet of peanut oil and just drove it down there on peanut oil. And that was like part of the whole thing. It's like, hey, we're this cooking oil company. We drove this big ass bus down here with everyone in it on peanut oil.
It's so cool.
Yeah. It smelled like.
If only there was enough peanut oil to go around to everybody.
Right. Yeah. I think there's a Diddy freak off joke in there somewhere. But yeah, no, it was that's the problem though. All you do is you end up just shifting the burden of like making your fuels from like sucking dead dinosaur juice out of the ground to like, oh, we have to monocrop the earth in order to like get enough vegetable oil to like keep this thing going. So it's marginally the same level of unsustainability.
Sure, yeah.
I suppose, but it makes a good story and it smells like a deep fryer.
Yeah, we had to pull the glow plug out of the diesel conversation. I'm glad we did it, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to me. The whole Dieselgate thing still is like one of my favorite stories to read about that we lived through, which was cool. And to think about diesels in general, I'm very curious. I'll probably own another one. I think it's cool how it's gone away, but I think we see it becoming popular again, like we said, as enthusiasts. But dude, it's time. It's time to get some quizzy action.
Time.
Not a Diddy reference, by the way.
No.
I'm going to dig up an ad. Do you mind detailing the folks this wonderful game we've come up with?
Yes. Okay. So you dig this ad out of the earth, much like dinosaur
Oh,
sauce. While he digs the dino sauce, I will tell y'all what we're going to do here. Chadwick here has found or is going to find an ad from the 80s, the 90s, up until the mid aughts, call it 90 or 2005 ish. And he's going to take this print ad from a magazine for an automobile. He's going to read the type copy while redacting out anything overly identifying. And then it's on me to have within 3 guesses, try and figure out what kind of car this is. If I guess and get something wrong, I can ask for a hint. That's kind of it. I get 10 minutes when he's done reading the ad. I'm not going to need all 10. Please play along at home. Have fun. I'm going to try to. And also try to not get embarrassed publicly. Chadwick, what you got?
I got something good for you, buddy.
Okay.
So this is a 1-page ad with the vehicle. The wheels slightly turned. We have a front driver's 3/4. It's only showing technically the front half of the vehicle in a beautiful red, very sleek looking car. The tagline at the top says, "Welcome to the state of independence."
Oh, Jefferson?
Yeah, not
The
a
great state of Jefferson?
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
There's a state that's utterly free. It's a place with no borders. No state fits that description, by the way, disclaimer. Where the pursuit of happiness is the only law and the national pastime is the game of what if. Sure.
Great.
This is the state of independence.
Fine.
It's the state we're in when we build blank. The most recent product of our approach to car making is the all new blank. Like every year, we're going to keep that blank. It's turbocharged. Its low friction, all aluminum, 4-cylinder engine acts like a 6-cylinder.
Oh,
low friction. But it also gets outstanding gas mileage. The EPA estimated MPG of 22 city, 31 highway. This may be the most clever engine on the road. The suspension is sport tuned.
Okay.
You got
Grounded
it
to the ground.
What you asked for. Sport tuned. The rear wheels steer in slight opposition to the front for crisper, more controlled turns. The safety cage of high tensile steel, along with the car's adaptive airbags and blanks. Oh, I don't want to read that part. We'll hold that one.
Okay.
Provides added security when changing lanes or simply idling at a light. Yes, blanks are different, as is the way we think. We don't make cars like everyone else's, and we're guessing you're not interested in driving a car like everyone else's. The all-new 210 horsepower turbocharged blank.
Golly.
Frank?
Okay.
Whoa, that beautiful ad, by the way.
Great ad.
I love the wording. Very emotional. 10 minutes on the clock. Good luck, my friend.
Yeah, I'm in like a state of independence here.
Welcome to it.
So the copy reads like it would be a U.S. manufacturer, just like the state of independence, and there are no borders, and
a lot of freedom on display here.
Freedom.
Yeah, right. I went with rage on that one. I'm sorry.
Sometimes you have to rage. Okay, so what's interesting, they said that all of this manufacturer's it sounded like they said all of the manufacturers lineup in this particular year are turbocharged.
Like I left the year off, so for that year anyway, it's turbocharged.
Yeah, but like all of them are turbocharged
for that year.
210 horsepower. Mm-hmm. It's got an airbag. So this is going to be 90s-ish. Turbocharged with 4-wheel steering.
Sport-tuned suspension.
210 horsepower. So it's not our Galant VR4 because those had no airbags. Nor the horsepower count's not quite right. All turbocharged. Let's see. This would not be. I'm trying to think of what had 4-wheel steering in the 90s where they would have been talking about like, it's got an airbag. Honda, but they weren't turbocharging anything. Toyota. This isn't an all track. We never got four-wheel steering in the United States on the MR2. It's not a Supra. It's not a Celica. It's not Toyota. 210.
210.
210 four-cylinder turbo. This isn't a Mazda Speed Protege.
They made like 160.
Yeah, for sure. With a tiny little Garrett turbocharger.
T25, wasn't it? T25.
Correct. Mitsubishi. It's not an Eclipse. It's not a 3000 GT, certainly.
Mm-mm.
It's just not Mitsubishi. Europe, boy, I don't think there's anything that fits the bill there. Did they do on like a Saab 9.3? Did they? Man, I don't know if they did. I don't know if they did four-wheel steering on any of those cars. I didn't think they did. Horsepower's close. I know like the 900 and the Neo 900 and the 9.3 came with, I think the SE trim level came with 205. Independence and Burr. I mean, it's a weird ass manufacturer. A lot of their shit was turbocharged. I don't love it because I don't think those cars came, and I don't think it's a 9,000. And did the 9,000, can you get that in before? I don't think so, but we're in the ballpark there. It's not a Volvo.
All of them that year were turbocharged too. So keep that in mind.
Right. Too. Yeah. So like there's something there. I guess just to get something on the board here, I'm going to say this is a 1994 Saab 900 SE. Final answer, Bob?
It is not that car. We've actually done that car before.
Yeah.
But you are danger close, my friend.
Yeah.
And I don't think they had four-wheel steering.
I don't think they did either. Like, it's like,
what year did you say?
It said 94.
What if I was to tell you, let me give you a hint.
Okay.
Like every 2003 blank,
okay,
it's turbocharged.
Every 2000.
So you're off almost by a decade, my friend.
Sure. They're still bitching about, they're still like singing about airbags.
Dude, sport tune suspension, bro.
That's fine. That's like marketing bullshit.
I'd like something. That's gross. In 2003, that's way past that.
In 2003, that'd be like with ABS brakes standard. Like losers, get out of here. Okay, so could it just be? Is it just a Saab 9.3? No, I still don't think that came with four-wheel steering. Anything Saab was probably turbocharged in 2003. You had the 9.5, you had the 9.3. It could be a 9.5, but again, I don't know if you can get like the 9, even some of the later weird shit like the Griffin edition and stuff. Like I don't think any of that, aero, linear, whatever. We're a couple years too early for the 9.2X, but then they would have been not turbocharged because you can get the linear, which is not, and plus all the GM shit. Yeah, that would be right.
2003. So I've given you a year.
I'm gonna say it's a 2003 Saab 9.5. Final answer, Bob.
It is not a Saab 9.5.
Is it not a Saab?
I, that would pretty much give you the answer.
Okay, so it's a Saab.
It's a Saab. 2003. What you got it because it's the only thing left.
Is it the 9.3?
It is the 2003 Saab 9.3, and this was the first year of that redesign of that new car. Actually,
Right. I did not know you can get those. I did not know. Oh, it's your greening me out. Yeah, very cool. I did not know those. You can get those in 4-wheel steering.
So I didn't know either, and I owned a 2003 Saab 9.3. I had the Arc. So when they first launched, there wasn't an Aero. There was a linear.
Mm-hmm.
There was the Arc and the Vector. The next year, they switched the Vector for the Aero, but the Arc was like the big T. Do you remember big T, little T on these Saabs?
Because of high pressure, low pressure, right?
It's like 175 to 210. And these things ripped shit, dude. These things
boogie. Yeah.
Boogie. I did not
torque
know.
Steer.
I didn't know it had 4-wheel steering. So I put my front tires were super bald because I always spun them. I used to be the shit of this car.
They roast.
So I put the ball tires on the back thinking front wheel drive, I'm good. The first corner I went in semi-wet conditions, the fucking car whipped around like a mid-engine car you had let off like throttle in the corner. And I was like, what happened? And I looked it up and I'm like, oh, it is. And it's like the opposite turn, right?
So it's like parallel.
It's fucking it flipped around so quick, dude. It was like an MR2 lifting off mid corner.
Interesting. Yeah, I did not know those were 4-wheel steering.
Good job. You got it. Third time's the charm, I guess, when you're guessing all the Saab lineup in 2003. But I want to say
airbags, get out of here.
These things, and I fucking not just because I owned one. I think these things are timeless looking. I think they still look fucking good. When you see a clean Aero with like that little lip spoiler and the little additional body stuff, and the interiors are always super simple. Night panel mode, pretty simple in there, and you can still get a 6-speed manual. I would get one of these with the 2-liter turbo versus that 2.8 turbo.
With like the GM 6-cylinder. Yeah, I get and I think those are. Wasn't on those like the end run in like the Vigan or something? It was like 260 horsepower, like really juiced.
Yeah. So in the Vigans also, I think they stuck the 2.3 in there too, out of the 9.5. So that had the 2.3 turbo.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. Maybe
in the 9.3 body, which was cool. Yeah. The Vigans obviously are the top of the chain, but you can get an Aero 9.3 for like $4 or $5 grand with a manual. Yeah. Which is pretty good. A cool car. So my buddy, funny story is I was working at Boeing at the time, but I had my 9.3, which I actually loved. I love that car. It was beautiful, comfortable, for the most part, reliable, pretty fast. So my buddy bought a Hyundai Genesis Coupe when they first came out the first year, brand new, 2-liter turbo. It made exactly the same power, pretty much. And in every drag race we did, the Saab won, and I thought that was funny. I think it had a curb weight advantage.
There you go. The architect professor or the drafting teacher in his Saab.
I worked with mostly engineers, and I have some pictures. I'll have to show you some pictures of the parking lot with this. I always call it the Saab crew. I always posted pictures of all our Saabs.
Born from jets.
But I think these things have aged incredibly well still.
They're cool.
I think they look cool, and they're cheap as shit because Saab doesn't exist anymore. And it's all global platform stuff, so the parts aren't hard. It's a Vector. Opel Vectra, I think, is the Opel. Is it an Opel Vectra? I think it is.
Sounds about right.
Or an Omega. I can't remember. It's one of those. But they made a ton of these all over the world, so you can find parts for them still. And they have some electrical issues. I got rid of mine when I bought my Legacy Spec B, but for the longest time, perfect daily, dude.
Hell yeah.
Good car. But you can get, like you said, you can get the 9.5 with the Aero wagon manual. I think that's a good way to go. Either way, I just like how these have aged. I think they look cool as shit too.
Yeah, agree. Cool, definitely agree.
Good job, man. Yeah, they did active rear wheel steering, and it's fucking scary when you have no traction and go around a wet corner
because you've got like dog shit tires.
Worn the fuck out.
Speaking of dog shit tires, nothing. I haven't even replaced dog shit tires. I've done nothing. I am nothing. I hope to change this in the new year. And honestly, what's going to be helpful is finishing some of these projects, like this freaking Crossfire behind me, getting it sold.
Yeah,
getting some other stuff done and sold, selling the 924. You know, hopefully getting that little Accord of mine smogged and moved.
That's right. Yeah.
To someone who could put actual care into it. Yeah, I need to buy time. I know we talked about this before, but like I think getting rid of some of these cars will actually hopefully limit that. And then I'll get the itch. I'll have some money and I'll have the itch and I'll have a parking space. Although who knows, the Barracuda will be coming back. And so maybe that will draw some of my attention to be like, oh, I just need to like, because I'm going to put miles on it and then it will immediately, a bunch of shit's going to break.
Tons of shit. Yeah.
And then I'm going to have to address that. It's fine. That's part of the deal. Yeah. So that's going to be, man. That's going to be it.
I think you got to power through the backlog. I got to do the same thing. I've been going through a lot of projects I had for a long time. So it feels good. You'll free open that inventory space. And of course, you'll bring something new in. As for myself, do you remember how I had to do some work on the GX not too long ago? Some actual car work. I replaced a turn signal bulb.
It was harrowing.
So the other Lexus, the CT 200H, I had to do some work to that too, Frank.
Oh man. Did you have to do a headlight bulb?
It was a headlight bulb.
Oh, I do a headlight bulb on mine too. Let's go.
Passenger side. So I did two. Obviously, you do them both at the same time.
That's what I did.
So yeah, not a bad job at all on that car.
It's very easy on that car.
Very easy.
I was like, am I gonna have to like pull a bunch of bullshit out and a fender liner or something? Oh,
not like a Cadillac CTS, right?
So like a Chrysler
really straightforward. I also did an oil change on mine. So just I got to send you the photo of the oil pan. 5,000. I do them every 5,000 on that car is my interval. Set the alert. So mine is at like 179 right now. We've been putting a lot of mileage on it.
I've got 179 on mine. I just turned.
We
are XT or CT bros.
Going high mileage. Dude, my oil pan looks brand new. So I hadn't been in there for 5,000 miles because it's a Lexus. I don't have to do shit to that car. I just put mileage on it. Took the little cover off and it's like shiny still. Not a single drop of fluid to be seen anywhere on that motor. Just the motor oil coming out at nearly 180K still looked very good. Put in some, Mobile 10W20, threw on a new Lexus OEM branded filter because you can buy them at Walmart. Did you know that? They sell Mopar, they sell Toyota filters at Walmart.
Dang.
For like half the price.
I feel like I should do that. And then also to poke Walmart in the eye, like steal something or like.
Walmart's not the enemy. Amazon, like Lex Luthered them a long time ago. But just
fight the real enemy. Yeah, I should go. Yeah, I don't know. Pee in a potted plant or something.
Get that OEM. So I remember the last time I did the oil change on the CT, I had to break off the oil filter housing because someone over torqued it.
Yep.
So this time it came off easy. I'm like, and I had Teddy working with me, who's my now 8-year-old son recently. And I'm like, wow, it really came off this easy this time. And he goes, Daddy, it's because you did it last time. And I'm like, you're just like
a single tear.
I love you, man. That's what I want to hear. But yeah, they're the right torque specs. Go figure. But yeah, super easy oil change on that car. If you have the tool, you have to have that tool.
Yep. Got to drop in the cartridge.
New cartridge, slapped on new O-ring kind of band and buckled it back up. Another 5,000 miles. I'll be under there again.
Preventative maintenance.
Perfect. And I've been averaging 44.5 miles per gallon, Frank, in mixed driving.
Yeah. Pulse and glide, baby. Pulse and glide.
Yeah, but how am I beating the original EPA estimate on a car with 180,000 miles?
Those cars are funny because it's like, depending on, you end up kind of getting in tune with it, right? Where you're like, you kind of figure out how to drive it. Like if I give it just this much throttle, it won't kick the gas motor on, and you can kind of play with it. And you're like, oh, I'm going to be coming down this hill, and you can kind of figure it out. But if you're just like not paying attention and you're just like jabbing the throttle all willy nilly, like
you'll still get like 40.
Yeah, you'll still get like 40.
It's ridiculous.
Right? But yeah, you can get like high. I mean, I've gotten like 48, 49 out of it before.
I've done 50 on I did one time from Mendocino down. I got like 50 miles per gallon before on the whole trip, like 100 and something miles. So they are cool, man. And it is, to me, like driving like a fuel economy car like that in a fuel economy minded way is just as engaging as sporty driving because you're doing everything you can to preserve that fuel economy. You're like forecasting when you need to brake.
Like video gamification.
You don't want to come to a full stop. You want to kind of coast in, and if you can accelerate without fully stopping, you're going to save a ton of fuel. But just overall, the head gasket's already been done on this one. I think that's the only
Same with mine.
fault. The only known fault with those cars.
Mhm.
And even if that is the only fault, who gives a fuck? It's a head gasket. It's not like the head gasket fails at 40K. It fails at like 150.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, mine was done at the dealership by the previous owner at like 163 and change, and I bought it
mine
with
was right around that
165.
time. Yep.
Yeah.
Same
Yep.
deal. And my other one, I took from like 30,000 miles to 140 and didn't have any issues. So, you know, they're just amazing. I put so many miles on CTs in my life. It probably cracks my top 5 overall car list just because it still looks fantastic. It's comfortable, and the fuel economy.
Mine doesn't look fantastic, but that's why it was $0. So I'm okay with it.
Yours was cheap. Yours is like very cheap. And I got a slam a deal on mine. I was super happy. But yeah, basic pearl white Lexus lineup at my house. But
there you go. That way you can just like bust all over it and no one will know because it just
and I do.
Yeah.
And I do.
Yeah. You know, love at first squeeb. I don't know what that right.
On that note, after admitting my PCP has been changing light bulbs on Lexus cars,
right?
Jesus, life is good. This is why we have the dailies we have. But anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our diesel chat. Not our diesel clatter, but our diesel chatter. It was a fun conversation, and we're glad you joined us here at APA Podcast, another Pointless Automotive Podcast. Follow us on all the socials, Instagram, which we haven't posted to forever, which Frank always makes fun of, but doesn't do anything about it.
Nope.
And we won't. Fuck it. That's our hill to die on, and
that's our promise here at another Pointless Automotive Podcast.
We won't improve our station.
No.
But anyway, we do appreciate it. If you guys want to leave feedback, review, rate the podcast, we appreciate that on whatever platform you're using.
Yeah.
Check us out on YouTube. We do upload every episode. You can see us on there, which is kind of cool. And we appreciate that. You can subscribe. It's totally free for 1 month, and then we charge you a ton of weird stuff. But anyway,
yeah, you have to pay us in bodily fluids.
Please swing by and do that. Personally, Auto Obsessive Garage, you can follow me for any of your rescues, restorations, and reviews, usually some weird, stupid shit. I hope to get back in the garage soon and show you guys some cool stuff. Frank, where can the good folks follow you?
Just lurking in the shadows, and then also at the Photographer's Garage on all of the typical things that you stalk people on. JDate, etc. So,
which are it's basically photos of him stalking people in the shadows. But hey, it's there.
It is. Yeah. If you see a photo of yourself in there from behind, you win a prize.
Turn around.
Yeah, exactly. They're right behind you.
This was posted 2 months ago. Oh,
exactly. Oh God.
But yeah.
Well, on that stunning revelation.
Good day. No, we appreciate it, guys. We will catch you on the next one. Take care. As always.
Goodbye.
Peace.